Hi everyone, welcome back to CJD Networking. I'm Chris Stevie. Today we're going to be talking about inter-VLAN routing, or routing on a stick, as it's also known as, and compare how this is to our standard routing. So I'm just going to bring up our simulations here on Packet Tracer. I've got three examples here. The one on the right here is our routing on a stick, and it's called routing on a stick because it looks a bit like a lollipop, really. This is upside down at the moment, but if you imagine the router here with one long line coming out of the bottom of it, i.e. our one cable going into it, that looks like a lollipop or routing on a stick. So that's where it gets its name from. So first of all, I'm going to start off with our standard routing. So our standard routing here, we're not going to have really any config on our switches here. We've just got two PCs basically going into a router via these switches. So let's just configure this first of all and show you how this one works. So all we're going to do is we are just going to see our interfaces. We have 0, 1 and 2 here. I've got Gigabit Ethernet 1 going into switch 1, or switch 2 as it's called here, and the second switch is going into 0, 2. So all we're going to do is just go into interface Gigabit 0, 1 first of all, give it an IP address of 192.168.0.1, give it a subnet, and do a no shot to bring this interface up, and we'll just do the same with the other interface. So interface Gigabit Ethernet 0/2, IP address 192.168.1.1, and we'll do a no shut on here as well. So now this is our simple network. That's it, really. The router knows about the two networks, so it will just route between the two. So we can go on to one of these PCs, and we can just ping the other router 192.168.1.10. So we'll just wait for that to reply. Looks like we just need to see what's going on here. It's just waiting for connection there. Give it a minute. Okay, so we're now starting to get some replies. So that's a very simple standard routing network with two PCs having their own switch going into a different interface on the router. Next, I'm going to compare this with, so we're going to do some network VLANing on this switch in the middle here, and that will break down the two networks on that switch, so we don't need to do anything clever on the router. So let's see how this works. So first of all, we will go onto our router, onto our switch, and we will just create another VLAN. So at the moment, if I just type in here show VLAN, you'll see on here, I'll just show VLAN brief actually, and you'll see on here that we've got our VLAN 1, and we've got no other VLANs here, so we are going to create that. So first of all, we will go into conf mode, and we will just type in VLAN 2. That will now give our new VLAN. Now we just need to add our two interfaces for the other network to VLAN 2, and we'll leave the network 192.168.2 network here in VLAN 1. So all we're going to do is just type in here now interface FA02 and give it a VLAN, sorry, a switch port access VLAN 2. So what we're doing is this is an access port, not a trunk port, and we're putting it in VLAN 2. So that is just turned orange there, just because it's going to change to that VLAN. And now we're going to do the same with the gigabit uplink to the router. So we'll do interface GI 0/2, and we will do switch port access VLAN 2 again. So there's no trunks here. All we're doing is just putting the port from the switch to the router on the second network, and the port from the switch to the PC in VLAN 2 on the second network as well. And let's exit that, and we can just now do a show VLAN brief again, and we can see those two ports are now in that second VLAN. So we segregated the two networks by the switch here, rather than having two switches. So let's go onto our router again. We can now just go into conf mode, configure terminal mode, and do interface. Let's just have a look at what interface we've got. So I'm going to do a do, so I can run privilege commands from the config mode. So do show interface brief, and we now can see our interfaces here, and we've got Gigabit Ethernet 01 going to network 1, and Gigabit Ethernet 02 going to 2. So I'm going to go into interface Gigabit Ethernet 0/1 and do an IP address 192.168.2.1. Let's do it, give it a /24 mask, and give it a no shut, and we'll do the same with the other interface. Interface GI 0/2 3.1/24 again, do a no shut to enable this interface, and we should see that we can now ping both PCs. So ping 192.168.2.10, and we should be able to do 3.10. Okay, so just to finish on this one, we'll go to one PC and make sure we can ping one PC to the other. So ping 192.168. I think it was 3, wasn't it? 3.10, and we can get a reply. And we can see on here that this is coming from the 2.10 network IP. So here we go. That's two types of standard routing. So one is completely separate, and the other one is sharing a switch but putting the interfaces in separate VLANs to segregate the network. So how do we compare that to inter-VLAN routing or routing on a stick? So what we've got here is we've just got the one cable or the one interface, and this interface will carry both networks across that as a trunk. Both networks will have sub-interfaces on that interface. So to explain that, I'm just going to go onto this router, and if I do a show IP int brief or show IP interface brief, you can see on here we have got our 3 gigabit interfaces there, 0, 1, 2 and 3. All I'm using is 0, 1. So what I'm going to do is go into configure mode. I'm going to go into interface gigabit Ethernet 0, 1 and do a no shut on here. Oh, careful. And then I'm going to create sub interfaces to this this interface. So to do that, we just do an interface GI 0/1 again, but we do a .1 at the end of it. Now, after we've done that, we can then use encapsulation .1q, which is the encapsulation we're going to be using for doing our inter-VLAN routing. So we need to type in encapsulation .1q, and now our VLAN number. So for the first one, we're going to use VLAN 1, and we're going to give it an IP address. So IP address 192.168.4.1 for this network. And then we are going to, that's it really for that interface. We're going to do the same with the second sub interface. So we are going to do another interface called interface GI 0/1 -2, so /1.2, and we are going to again do encapsulation .1q and give it a VLAN of 2, and give this one an IP address as well. IP address 192.168.5.1. Give it a /24 subnet, and those interfaces will already be up because we did a no shut on the actual physical interface above it. So let's just come out of this now, and if I do a show IP int brief, you'll see on here now we have got our gigabit Ethernet 0/1. That's our physical interface that our cable plugs into. Then we have 2 virtual interfaces under it here, which are our sub interfaces, and they're up as well because we did a no shut on this physical one here. So now we have our interfaces up and running here. If I do a show interface trunk, we shouldn't see anything yet until we've got the other end running. So show interface trunk, nothing there yet. So if we go into our switch now, and let's see what we've got. Show IP interface trunk. Sorry, show interface trunk. We've got nothing there. Show IP interface brief. I was just mixing 2 commands together there. Show IP interface brief. We've got 2 interfaces up here, 1 and 2. And we've got our 0/1 here, which is going to our router. So now what I'm going to do is go into that router interface uplink, and so we're going to do interface GI 0/1, and we are going to do switch port mode trunk, and we should come out of this now and do a show interface trunk, and we can see now that we have got our trunking interface here on Gigabit Ethernet 1, we can see the native VLAN is 1, and we can see what VLANs are allowed. We haven't created our VLAN 2 yet, so let's just do that. So if we type in here VLAN 2 and go back to our trunk, we will see that VLANs 1 and 2 are allowed on here as well. We could restrict that by doing a allowed VLANs command, but by default it's just allowing all the VLANs we've got there. So lastly, all we need to do is put our interface that's going from our second network on this switch to VLAN 2. So we'll do a configure terminal again, conf-t. We will do a interface FA0/2, and we'll do a switch port access VLAN 2. If we now do a show VLAN, we can see that interface there is in VLAN 2, and that is basically our network. So let's check our routing here. Let's go to see if we can ping 192.168.4.1 first of all, which is the gateway, and we'll see if we can ping the other network 5.1. So that's the gateway of the other network, and lastly we'll see if we can ping the other PC on the network. So just give it a minute, and there we go. So these are three methods: the standard routing with VLANing done on the switch, and the last one we are doing inter VLAN routing from the router, so we can have two networks on just one physical interface. So guys, hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers, bye.